Well now, from a Metroidvania back to the classic linear style of Castlevania. Where we last left off, we ventured into the beginning of an era without the Belmonts. So now, let's venture into the year 1917, where Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria was assassinated back on June 28th, 1914, and in 1917, World War I occurred. So welcome to my re-review of Castlevania Bloodlines. Enjoy the show. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video in the Castlevania Timeline Revisit. Tonight's game is Castlevania Bloodline, or as it's called in Europe, Castlevania The New Generation. But for this video, I'll be calling it by its American title. Castlevania Bloodlines is a 2D side-scrolling action-adventure game released in March of 1994 for the Sega Genesis, marking the first and only Castlevania game to not be released for a Nintendo console. You know, I always heard that this game is just as hard, if not harder, than the American version of Castlevania 3. But I think I can handle it. So here's the question. Is Castlevania Bloodlines any good, and is it something I can recommend to you? Let's find out. Alright, so Bloodlines takes place in 1917, while Europe is still in its World War I era. And before we actually start the game, we have a choice of two characters, Eric Lecard and John Morris? Morris! Yup, Morris. Why am I bringing this up? Because it turns out that John Morris is actually the son of Quincy Morris from Dracula, the Bram Stoker novel. Oh boy. If you want to know what happened in the book, then read it for yourselves. I myself actually read it around, I believe 5 or 6 times during my freshman year of high school when my English teacher actually ordered the book itself off of Amazon. But thankfully, that's the only form of outside material you'll need. But anyways, back to the game. So, as I was saying, Bloodlines takes place in World War I Europe, so it's up to John Morris or Eric Lecard to travel all throughout Europe and kill Dracula. And in terms of European locations, we have a number of them. This includes the Atlantean Shrine in Greece, the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy, an ammunition factory in Germany, the Versailles Palace in France, and finally the Castle Proserpina in England. But anyways, that was the story of Bloodlines. Overall, it's really simple to get to grips with, since this is a classic Castlevania game after all. But with the story done, let's talk about gameplay. Gameplay of Bloodlines has us in control of either John Morris or Eric Lecard, and the name of the game is Strut, Jump, Attack, and Die. Now both John and Eric carry different gameplay styles with them. John utilizes the Vampire Killer, which was originally passed to the Morris family from Richter after Symphony of the Night, while Eric uses a spear. The Alucard spear. Yeah, straight from the blonde pretty boy himself. But anyways, much like Richter in Rondo of Blood, we have the stiff jumping, but we can whip in multiple directions like Simon in Super Castlevania 4, when we play as John at least. John also uses the Vampire Killer as like a grappling whip, so he could just grapple onto ceilings as if he's Indiana Jones. Huh. Never thought I would make an Indiana Jones reference in any of these videos. But on to Eric. Eric takes a page out of Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, where he can do a super jump when holding down the crouch button. We also have the returning sub-weapons as well as upgrades, though the final upgrade behaves like it does in Castlevania The Adventure, where if you get hit, you'll lose it. But at least you don't lose the other upgrades when you get it, so that's a plus. There is another issue I have with the game. When you get a game over without any more continues, you go back to the very beginning of the game in that classic Genesis fashion we all know and fucking despise. I mean, seriously. Imagine that you're out of continues and about to be Dracula, only to die. And now, you'll have to start all over. Thank God for the password screen. Visually, I say this is pretty great for a Genesis game. Colors are hella vibrant when they need to be, and enemies, especially ones like this rotting hellhound, look hellish in and of itself. Holy shit. Yeah, if there's also one thing Bloodlines doesn't skip out on, it's the gore factor. Huh. I now know why this was made for the Genesis, because Nintendo would never let Konami put something like this on Super Nintendo, much like with the blood in the console versions of the original Mortal Kombat. Huh. Never thought I would make a Mortal Kombat reference in the Castlevania video or any of these videos either. Good God! Now I'm curious on what was the rating for this game. GA, General Audience? Well, good to know that the ESRB were a bunch of lazy twats back then, because nowadays, I want to say this would pass for, at least for a T for teen rating. But overall, visually, it's pretty good. OST is also pretty good, though it does have that Genesis twang to it, which could either make the music good, if not better in Bloody Tears' case, or it could just not be your thing. For me, I'm neutral about the Genesis twang, so overall, OST, it's okay. Now, let's recap. I think the story is good, gameplay is okay, visually, need I say more? And OST is good. So here are my closing thoughts. Overall, Castlevania Bloodlines is certainly a challenging game, and at times can be even harder than the American version of Castlevania 3. But if you're a real hardcore gamer and can handle the challenge, then good luck. I may be a Castlevania fan, but even I have my limits, and Castlevania Bloodlines is that limit. Overall, Castlevania Bloodlines, at least to me, gets a 6 out of 10. But now, I want to know from you all. Did you play Castlevania Bloodlines? Did you enjoy it? And is this something you could recommend to a friend? Leave your answers and more down in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And while you're here, subscribe and turn on the bell to be notified whenever I make a new video. As always, my social media links are down below. I've been Howard Kid, and join me next time when I take a look at Bloodlines follow-up, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin for the Nintendo DS. Till then, you all take care.